Who are you? In childhood, we form a persona based on what we experience in our surroundings. We see how our parents behave and we either imitate that, act like that in an attempt to be someone because they're someone. We learn through copying our parents. We observe how they put the forks on the table, the kinds of sayings that come out of their mouth, the way they move their bodies, and we imitate that. Or, just the opposite, we rebel against what our parents are, who our parents are. So, most of your so-called identity or persona is formed through imitation or rebellion, being like or being different. And both of these are not really who you are. Man, if you knew who you were, you'd be happy, very, very happy to find out who you are. Because most of us, we have no clue who we are. Later in life, we take our mannerisms or way of talking, way of being, way of behaving from other cues, such as movies, primarily movies, because that's where we see people behaving and moving and acting and talking, and it rubs off on us. Maybe there's somebody we admire, and we often become like who we admire. We consciously and subconsciously take on their mannerisms, their way of talking. That's natural and normal, but it's not absolutely ideal. I mean, I did it in my 20s. I listened to all these coaches. I watched them. And I learned a lot. And I subconsciously took on a lot of their ways of talking, expressing themselves, moving, gesturing. Because that's what a persona is made up of. Certain gestures, certain ways of walking, certain voices, certain ways of looking. All that make up a persona. And if you're not similar to the personas that are generally shown in the media or in movies, it is taken as weird. For example, sometimes I'm in meetups, with other people on various occasions, and I'll just sit there and say nothing and stare. I won't smile or anything. I'll be like I'm often in my videos, like this. And a lot of people feel uncomfortable with that, and they ask me, "Are you okay? Is everything okay? Did I do something wrong?" I say, "No, you did nothing wrong. All is well." Because they're used to these stereotypical personas that are shown in in movies mainly. And isn't that how everybody behaves? If you meet people in a group, you smile, and you're polite, and you pay attention all the time, and you respond, and you're responsive. And yes, I can do that. I do it sometimes, but often it's just an act. It's my persona act so that nobody notices that I'm completely dissociated from and completely not on the same page as normal society. To appear like I'm well adjusted and normal. That I belong, that I'm like everybody else. That's very important to people. To belong, to be accepted. And you can tell I'm mocking this whole thing just a little. Because that's all ego nonsense. That's persona. That's identity. That's something, it's like a vehicle that you use. But most people think they are the vehicle. They are the identity. They are the persona. Of course you're not that. You cannot be whatever you can observe. You can observe an object means you're not the object. You're separate from it. You can observe the body means you're not the body. You must be something other than the body. And when the body passes away, guess what? Doesn't mean you pass away because you're not the body, as we've just determined. Right? You can't be something that you observe. You can't be your thoughts because you can observe your thoughts. So who's the one doing the observing? Some people call it pure consciousness, pure will, pure awareness. Well, those are aspects of what you really are. It's getting much closer to the truth, but these are still only labels. You are not a label. Labels are things you can observe. You're much, 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 much more than that. And if you were to shut up once in a while and observe, you'd know more of what you are and what others are. And you'd see all the roles and acts they put on in daily life. The ego, the mind, these are terms that I use interchangeably, is a formidable role player. But not as real as your essence. You know, the ego is into stuff that tends to, some of it is useful for living, but some of it tends to weaken you. For example, the ego wants to be important and accepted and belong and get approval and get love and get attention. What if all those things were gone? You know how much surplus energy you'd have? What if you didn't care about all these ego games, whether you're criticized or not criticized, accepted or not accepted, agreed with or not? Who cares, right? All of these things waste a lot of energy on behalf of your ego, the mind, that is so worried about not being offended and gaining approval and all this nonsense. When you transcend the ego, you gain compassion because you see the games being played. The ego wants to be right and make others wrong. The ego wants to crack a joke on behalf of somebody who's not here. The ego wants to be praised. The ego wants to show how much it knows and what a big shot it is. And all of this is wasting your life energy away. And it's not essence. Essence is will, compassion, love, awareness, learning, knowing, creativity, creation. That's essence. That's who you really are. Getting better at what you do, service to others. How does that sound compared to the ego stuff of wanting to be right, wanting to be loved, wanting to belong, wanting safety? The ego wants safety because the ego knows it's not safe. And the ego isn't safe because the ego is a temporary function, a temporary mind that you get during your existence in this realm so that you can function in this realm. So, who are you? When you explore that question, you'll find over the years that there's deeper and deeper versions of who you are and can be. Who would you like to be? What would you like to be? I mean, if you sit there and imagine right now looking at yourself from the outside, even change seats, and look at yourself sitting there. Imagine yourself sitting across from you. Let's do this as an exercise right now. Imagine you sitting across from you. It's great to see yourself from the outside once in a while, instead of always being your viewpoint, which is very blinder, very limited. What does this person need sitting there? What do you appreciate about this person? But what does this person really need? What path are they on, and how could this person really make a difference in their surroundings? Yes, you're talking about yourself in the third person. What you are, much more than a name in your passport, or a nationality, or a party affiliation, or a culture, or an ethnicity, what you really are is more of an atmosphere. You are an atmosphere. You're a vibe. And in your presence, there's a certain atmosphere. And either people are attracted by that atmosphere, drawn to it, or they're repelled by it, or they're neutral on it. And they're attracted to it if it contains something that they are lacking, that they want more of. They're repelled by it if it contains something they want less of. You are an atmosphere. You're a vibe. You're an electromagnetic field. You are a consciousness. But all of these things I'm telling you are still just labels and limitations and definitions. You're actually much more than that still. You're undefined, of cosmic proportions. Now, we just did an exercise where you observed yourself from the outside. Observe your body now from the outside. And then observe the space around your body. Again, anything that you can observe, you are not. So you're neither your body nor the space around it. Even though focusing on the space around it can make you feel lighter and less dense, less physical. And then observe your thoughts, blah, 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 blah. Thoughts and sensations and feelings, blah, 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 blah. And that's not you either. You can observe it. And you can also observe the observer who's observing. Observe the observer who's observing all this. Meaning you're not the observer either, just another limitation. And maybe you can experience yourself as a field of consciousness that includes all of this. The room, the objects in the room, the body. And if you can observe all of this, you're not that. Not this, not that. What I'm trying to get at here is that what you are is defined differently at different levels of consciousness, right? At a very low level of consciousness, you define yourself as a mere body that's going to pass away when it dies. And that's why people think death is so serious and so painful and so important. Well, of course it's painful if you think that's all there is. That's one of the biggest lies you've been told, that this life is all there is. No, actually this life is the temporary thing, and that which is in the afterlife is the permanent thing. Just the other way around. People think this is the real thing, the permanent thing. No. This is like a dream. It goes by so quickly. Life is very short. And you take it so seriously, do you not? Oh my God, this person criticized me. Oh my God, that happened. Oh my God, 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 oh my God. And these things just pass away so quickly compared to infinity. They're so unimportant compared to infinity. Infinity puts everything in perspective, and death is the great equalizer. Death of the body. You're not going to care about who criticized you or whose approval you gained or how many likes and shares you got, or how much money you made, or who said this and that in the afterlife. Not one bit. Those are not the things you take with you. You also don't take with you all the hours you sat in front of that screen. What do you take with you? You take with you moments of high energy, either way, very low and tragic or very high. That's what you take with you. That's where the beauty is. And most people would disagree. They'd say, oh no, if I'm sad, that's not beautiful. Well, there is beauty to it, and that's something most people will only understand after they're gone, after the body's gone. In any case, moments of intensity, moments of authenticity, moments of compassion, moments of love, that's what you take with you. Moments of courage, all the moments in your life where you took a step of courage, you take with you to the other side. And that's saved and stored, and you can access it any time if you need it in any other scenario, in any other of the multiple dimensions you can travel to. So I was saying that at a most dense level of consciousness, you experience yourself as body only. And if you're body only, then all you care about is what the body has and what you feel. I have this, I have that. I do this, I do that. Having and doing. Having this level, doing that level. You define yourself over what you have or what you do. At the next level of consciousness, a little bit higher, you define yourself over being, over who you are being, over your state. Your state becomes more important than the objects you own. Does that make sense? I mean, you could have 10 cars, but if you're not feeling the energy, who cares? I mean, rich people know that. There's a lot of old rich people, they'd give away all of their money in an instant if they could have back their youth and the energy they had in their youth. And that's their problem, because you can have a lot of energy when you get older, but they don't know that. They have a wrong belief system about aging. And then another consciousness level higher, you experience yourself as a field, as a spirit, as a soul, as an essence, as a consciousness, as a will, as a intuition. That's a pretty high level, pretty accurate. And then if you go even higher, that too dissolves, and you experience yourself as a vast cosmic consciousness, aware of many things simultaneously. And then as you increase in consciousness, even that dissolves. But I'm not going to tell you what's after that, because many listeners have yet even to achieve a basic awareness of themselves independent of the body. They're so identified with this body and this self and defending themselves, so easily offended. They think the thing that is being offended is them. But that's the ego, nothing to do with you. If you know who you are, you can't be offended. If you know who you are, you cannot be offended. Think about that. You can't be offended by anything because it does not relate to you. If somebody says you're a this and this and this and fuck you, you can't be offended. Maybe you'll feel some compassion because you see how the person offending you is struggling. You are a this and this and this and this and this. You know? All right. And so I am. I am whatever you say I am. But if there's no resistance from my side, it goes back to the critic. Okay, so a genuine, an awakened person, they listen with interest and understanding, but without reaction and resistance. They're not offended. And one of the biggest problems in society nowadays is too many people too easily offended by anything. Right? Somebody has a different opinion than they do online, they're offended. And they go into crisis mode and they search then online for somebody who agrees with them. Ours, who agrees with me? Yes, they agree with me, they agree with me. Now I feel cozy again and like I belong. I found somebody that agrees with me. I've written a lot of stuff that nobody's ever said. Nobody agrees with. And that's a good exercise in reducing self-importance. Great anti-ego exercise. So I ask now, who are you? I asked this question in the beginning, and I ask you again, who are you? And if you learned anything in this presentation, you don't answer that. See, the moment you answer, you're limiting who you are. Is this transferring? Is this getting through to you?